With Undertaker's crown jewel whereabouts and Andrade revealing the length of his AEW deal, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for October 22nd. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. With AEW still going strong even when up against WWE, the Wrestling Observer noted that CM Punk advised Tony Khan to not counterbook against WWE. Khan's usual booking patterns on Friday night would have been to put Punk vs. Seidel first, so I don't think he changed anything. Punk did tell Khan not to change anything in the show on the booking as a response, changing the card, as both McMahon does regularly now, and both McMahon and Bischoff did constantly in the late 90s against each other, and asked to put him first head-to-head because I can take that bullet. Tony Khan mentioned in a previous interview that he had the opportunity to counterbook Rampage when it went head-to-head with the final 30 minutes of SmackDown, but ended up sticking with the show he had originally intended putting on. With him no longer holding the TNT title last week on Dynamite, Miro cut a promo on no longer being God's favorite champion. This earned him praise from a notorious AEW critic. Jim Cornette had this to say about it on his podcast. Miro, now he's cutting promos on God. The guy's been getting over with me. Usually I have less appeal for these people as the more I see, but Miro is definitely getting over. He asked God, "Why have you forsaken me? You gave me, what was it? A body of granite but a neck of sand," because they're playing that he is vulnerable to the DDT or whatever, but Miro wants his belt back, or elsewise he will be switching heel on God, and I like this. This was good. If this is the first I'd seen of this guy, I wouldn't know he's a blithering idiot. Would never have any idea if this was the way I had seen this guy first. Miro was also upset over not being included in the AEW World Title Eliminator, as we'll have to see if he is able to become TNT champion again. With him going through attire changes and a couple of name alterations on the main roster, Bearcat Lee was talked about by Booker T, with the WWE Hall of Famer saying the company will not trust Lee enough to give him a solid push with a championship. Hey man, you know what? I think the verdict's still out on Keith Lee. I know some people are going to be talking about, what is he talking about? I think the verdict is still out on Keith Lee as far as how far this guy's going to go. Is he the next big thing? I don't know what the injury was still to this point, and I really don't care. It's not my business or anything like that, but I do know one thing about the business, and getting to that certain spot, you gotta be trusted. And I'm not saying trusted whether I can leave my wallet lying around or anything like that. I'm talking about trusted to be able to make all these shows, all of them. You cannot call in sick when you're the champion. You cannot call in and say, hey, I'm not gonna be able to make it today because I gotta take my daughter to work. I'm not gonna be able to make it because somebody died. I'm just saying, it's a rough spot to be in. I was reading something, an ex-WWE writer. I didn't see who the writer was. I don't know if they said his name or if he was nameless. Said that Keith Lee would never get over in WWE. And the thing is, he could be 100% right. He could be right 100%, and it's gonna take someone like Keith Lee to make them wrong. With Vince Russo saying that quote that Booker T mentioned and Jim Cornette stating he could be making his way to AEW after the treatment he has received, we'll have to see what's in store for Lee going forward. With Eric Bischoff criticizing Tony Khan recently, telling the AEW president he needs to stop talking so much about the war with WWE and put his focus towards putting on great matches, Chris Jericho has now taken to Twitter to respond as he wrote, "Not sure what a cosplay competition is, Eric, but WWE market share has definitely been decreased by AEW, to the point whenever they force themselves into real head-to-head competition with us, most recently last Friday, they lost. I'm gonna shut up now and keep wrestling." Bischoff recently noted that he will be dropping painful truths about Tony Khan next week, so we'll get to see what Bischoff means by that statement. Speaking of Chris Jericho, he mentioned working in Japan to Talk Sport, where he also noted he wants to form a tag team with Kenny Omega. I'd like to go to Japan a couple more times if it's an AEW styled show. I'd love to work with Suzuki over there. I'd love to work with Will Ospreay. I'd love to do a tag team with Kenny Omega in Japan. I think Omega and Jericho versus Tanahashi and Okada are a Tokyo Dome sellout. I have all of that in my back pocket. For now, Jericho is embroiled in a feud against American Top Team and Men of the Year, while Omega will be facing Hangman Page at Full Gear on November 13th. Following his shocking release from WWE earlier this year, Braun Strowman finds himself as a free agent in the wrestling world, with him recently facing EC3 during the Free the Narrative event. On Busted Open Radio, Braun opened up on being let go, mentally, physically, everything like that, not being locked into any kind of contracts, being able to pick and choose what I do with my life. I'm 38 years old and finally, for the first time in my life, I don't have to ask anyone for permission to do anything, and it's honestly a pretty damn good feeling. To be able to work on this project is it was life-changing for me, to say the least. While he did say that WWE gave him an opportunity to grow, he found the experience too time-consuming, working 60 to 70 hours a week. Strowman's recent opponent EC3 did an interview with Chris Van Vliet talking about his Free the Narrative series, as he was asked what Braun will do now that he is no longer a part of WWE. When you think of a guy like that, he was signed and put in the system, so he does not know anything but the system he is used to. That is until he shows up to this dimly lit bar in downtown Orlando. Adam, seeing that we had no catering, no locker room, he knows it going into it, but seeing him experience something different, it opens his eyes to see what else is out there, and how does this work? One promotion that has great reported interest in Braun is Impact Wrestling, as we'll have to see if the Monster Among Men makes his debut for the company at the Bound for Glory pay-per-view tomorrow. With it previously reported that Undertaker had flown out to Saudi Arabia and even introduced an audience to Pitbull for a festival in the country, the Wrestling Observer noted his whereabouts during the recent WWE event. Taker was there but did not appear on the show. He did a public appearance the day before. After being taken out of action by the Queen of Spades, Eva Marie has not been seen on programming lately. Apparently, the former Total Diva star is busy with another project. As the Observer noted, Eva Marie was written out with the basilar injury and not drafted because she's working on a movie for a while. As you may know, WWE has a list of words not to be said on programming, which consist of blood, choke, belt, strap, diva, headshot, trauma, kayfabe, mofos, house show, DQ, the anti-diva, spinal injuries, victim, violence, violent, wrestling, wrestlers, WWF, wife beater, curb stomp, phrases including the word push and being over, babyface, heel, job, jobber, card, strangle, kill, and murder. Whenever WWE was in Raleigh, North Carolina, it was pointed out that commentators only mentioned that state they were in, not the city. Now it seems another word has been barred from use. As was said on The Observer, for whatever reason, Ontario was banned from being used on the air, and instead they used the term Southern California. I never knew anyone thought Ontario had a connotation of bush leagues. Following his request to be released from WWE, Andrade has found his way to AEW. Speaking to Melanio, in an interview translated from Spanish, he revealed how long his contract would last. Now I have a 3-year contract with AEW. I've only been with them for half a year. I'm looking for the most important championships with them, because I didn't get that opportunity in WWE, and in this new company, I want those opportunities. With WWE calling Hit Row up to SmackDown during the most recent draft, Top Dolla spoke on the Jobbing Out podcast about how they found their look and attitude on their own. I grew up going to SmackDown to watch The Rock. When I was a kid, this is where I wanted to be. No disrespect to NXT, but I never saw NXT as where I wanted to be. I think everyone who is anyone in this business would agree with that. I love that on NXT. I was given the opportunity to create. No one helped us make Hit Row in any way. We wrote all of our promos. We booked all our matches. We did everything ourselves. Nobody told us how to dress or how to talk or none of that. We did it all ourselves, and it was so profound, different, and unique that 4 months later they were like, we want that on mainstream. I can never undersell how much I appreciate what happened for me on NXT because there are a lot of people that don't get the opportunity. I feel like I got that opportunity because I deserve it, and I show that each and every day, but not a lot of people get that opportunity. I loved my time in NXT, but it's money season and we're on the big time show. Everything I've done in my life has built up to this point, and this is just the beginning. I don't get to the dance and think I'm cool. I need to be active. It's cool to be on the same show as Roman Reigns and Charlotte Flair. It's an amazing and unbelievable opportunity. Just like they know that they have to get theirs, I have to get mine. Following WWE's Crown Jewel event in Saudi Arabia, it was reported by PW Insider that many at the top of the company are pleased with the pay-per-view. Those who spoke to within WWE was really thrilled with today's Crown Jewel pay-per-view, as the feeling was it was one of the better major shows that they have produced over the last year. With a Queen and Ring crowned at the event and the draft going into effect, it should be an interesting time for WWE programming. Speaking to the New York Post, Xavier Woods talked about being able to be a part of and win the King of the Ring tournament, saying social media played a big role. Being in the tournament off the rip, I felt incredible, so every time I advanced, that feeling grew, and I think that people felt that with me, because when someone is genuine and they tell you how they really feel, it's really hard to not roll with that, because you can relate in some shape or form. I really think social media gave me that opportunity. Doing things like up, up, down, down gave me that opportunity. Being in a gaming space and not a wrestling space gave me that opportunity. There are a bunch of gaming nerds who I relate with, and we're relating on a different level. When I make those kinds of friends and those kinds of fans in the gaming space, they go, oh, you wrestle? And they start watching wrestling and they go, what's King of the Ring? And then through my social media, I'm able to explain that to them so they can understand it, even if they don't watch the product yet. When they see that I'm in a match and I'm excited and I'm ready to go, and this is the most important thing in my career, they tune in because we have that connection. It's not something that you gain from seeing someone on TV. It's a personal connection with meeting with them, from conversing with them on Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is. So when these things happen, I think that people really feel it. And that to me is the new version of pro wrestling. Everything doesn't have to be done on screen on the show. I think that me winning this crown is an extremely good example of that. While in promos every once in a while would drop hints at the King of the Ring, I think 85% of what I did was on social media, or up, up, down, down, or in the gaming space. To see the effects of it, it tells me that what I've been doing, being weird and not being the traditional type of guy, not just falling into whatever mold I was given, but myself first and foremost, and having people tell me, no, you should be tougher, you could be angrier, you should do this, you should do that. I absolutely refused, because that stuff sucks to me. I don't want to do that. It doesn't suck in general. For some people, that's fantastic. I don't want that. I want to use different tools in my toolbox to build the same house and show people you don't have to follow the same path. You can carve a new path for yourself. Just because somebody tells you it's not going to work or they don't believe in it doesn't mean you can't do it. And this is a prime example. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.